What's going on YouTube? Welcome to episode 119 of the U.S.S. Enterprise D tutorial. I'm Zero Elite and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And also, don't forget to join the Discord channel. I'll have a link in the description below. Right now I'm doing a poll on my next ship build, so be sure to join. And once you join the Discord, you'll see the tab Next Ship Build poll. And this way you can vote on what ship you want to see me do next. Now, if you look at that list and you see that there's a ship on there that's not included in what you want to see me work on, this is another great reason to join the Discord, because I have a new tab that I just added, Build Suggestions. And I'm going to be shifting from taking suggestions from the YouTube channel and moving that over to the Discord. And the main reason for doing this is so that this way when people make their suggestions, it'll be a lot easier for everybody to find those, because kind of how I have it right now is that when people make a suggestion, the only way I can see that, the only way other people can see that is if they're on that episode that person commented on and they upvoted it as well. So what ended up happening is a lot of sporadic requests. So I think this will be a good way for all the suggestions to be condensed in one area so everybody can see it. So definitely join the Discord, and I'll have that link below. Also, be sure to check out my U.S.S. Enterprise A 1.1 discussion episode. It's the first time I've done actually a discussion episode based on an upcoming build, and I'm really excited that I was able to do that episode, and I love everybody's feedback and thoughts on the concept design that I did for the Enterprise A. But we're going to be doing that build once we hit 1,000 subscribers. So if you're excited about that build and you want to see it happen, help me out. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you can. Share this on social media with your friends, whatever, because I'm not going to be doing it until I hit 1,000 subscribers. But as soon as we hit 1,000, that tutorial series is going to start up, so definitely keep an eye out for that. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump right into today's episode. We've got about a 25-minute episode that's going to be broken up into 3 parts. We'll be picking up where we left off in episode 118, where we're working on that extended area of engineering. But first, we're going to be working on just a little bit of loose ends here on the secondary and tertiary shuttle bay, as well as adding in a couple of extra windows on the neck, and then we'll be going into that extended engineering area to wrap up what we had started in episode 118. Yeah, because there was just going to be no way around it really, that I was going to have to kind of do that in 2, because I was originally episode 118 was going to be 2 episodes, because I really don't like having really long episodes unless I absolutely have to. But considering how long the tutorial series has run, I've kind of just made the decision that if I can help it, I'm not going to split up any recording sessions. Really, the only thing that I'm going to be doing at this point is condensing them together to make an episode. But if I have enough content for an episode or a little bit more within one recording session, I'm just going to do it as one. So there really wasn't going to be any way for me to add this part onto episode 118, because it would have been an extremely long episode. But I mean, it's all good, because we're rocking and rolling on this thing. We're getting it done just one episode at a time, taking our time with it. I have had a couple of people ask me like, "Oh my God, you're still working on this thing. How come it's taking so long?" This is a build that requires a certain level of patience. You're not going to build an Enterprise D over the weekend. It's not going to happen. And if it does, you're looking at a shell of it. It has taken me well over a year, not working on this thing every single day. I'll be completely honest with you. But I have put a considerable amount of work into this build, working on it off and on over a period of a year to get to the point where we're at right now. And, I think the work shows in the level of detail that we have going on so far. But if this is the first episode that you're checking out and you don't have that type of patience, I might suggest working on a smaller build, like either one of my mock tutorial builds that I've done for the Enterprise and the Enterprise D and the Enterprise A. And then I also have the tutorials for the Disco era Enterprise as well as the Cerritos. Now, I'm still, even though I've been doing this now for about 2 years, the tutorials are still kind of fairly new because, these things, they kind of take a little while to do because, I do them um, solo in my spare time when I'm able to hop on Minecraft. So what that basically entails happening is that I'm not able to get a lot done within a really short period of time just because of um, work, life, and everything else. And then I pretty much I get on here when I can at this point. Um, but I mean, it just kind of is what it is. you know, uh, People that either are younger and they're in college or whatever, you've got a lot more time on your hands than I do because I work 6 days a week most of the time, so I really don't have that much time to commit to building this stuff. It's pretty much evenings and weekends that I'm working on the Enterprise D, and again, just being completely honest, it's not every day. Sometimes I'll work on this, every single day for a couple weeks at a time, but then I'll take a couple of weeks off just to kind of recharge. Um, and this way, when I come back to it, I'm still just as passionate about what I was doing. But I took a little bit of a vacation from doing it as well. Because even though I'm taking breaks here and there while I'm building this ship, the tutorial series is still going because I have so much content that I've already pre-recorded. And I did this by design so that, if I either get stuck on something or I'm not sure what I want to do, or in like the case where I'm at just recently where I want to take another small break from working on it, I can do that and it's not going to stop the tutorial series from continuing because I have enough content where if I really wanted to, I could take a significant amount of time off from this and it wouldn't affect the tutorial series at all. I just start catching up with myself, which I'm really not going to do. I want to make sure that I have enough pre-recorded content so that this way I can just keep doing this, but not be in the danger of having to record stuff week to week and then maybe run into the danger of not having something that I can put out. So that's a lot of the reasons why these tutorials, they take a little while to start them, because I think when I started it last year, I started working on it in February, and I want to say it was either April or May that the tutorial series actually started. So for the tutorial series, we haven't hit a year yet, but as far as my building it goes, we've pretty much have already well exceeded a year of working on it. And whatever it takes to finish this thing, that's what it takes. I'm not looking to fill in every single nook and cranny on the interior of it, but I want to make sure that I've fully fleshed it out and there's things that need to be added that have been discussed in TNG, and then also that was shown in Star Trek Generations. There's stuff to add basically. I really my primary focus where I'm at right now in the tutorial, when I come back to it, when I come back to building, I'm going to be working on fleshing out the crew deck, and then from there I'll be fleshing out the medical deck slash science deck, and then I'm pretty much done. There's just a tiny couple of loose odds and ends that I'll have to do before I can call this thing done. But I really, even though there's a lot of work to do, I'm still really closer than I've ever been to being completed on this thing because the majority of the work is actually done, and there's still a little bit of work that I need to do on the back end of the lower hull, which I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do. So don't be surprised if that ends up being one of the last things that we do on the build. But once I figure out what I'm going to do with that, I'm probably going to build it out. I've been talking about this too, that I'm thinking what that area is probably going to be is two things, probably more engineering areas, and then I'll have a rear torpedo room as well. But if there's any other rooms and things that you want to see me add on the Enterprise D, really now's the time to ask me, because I can't stress this enough that once this ship is done, it's done, and I'm not going to be coming back to the Enterprise D because It's not like there's going to be a new episode of Star Trek that's going to be showcasing the Enterprise D and showing us areas of the ship that we've never seen before. It's not going to happen, So this is why I'm spending as much time as I am now really fleshing out this interior, because this whole tutorial series has really been two tutorial series in one when you think about it. Building out the exterior of the ship. Well, actually three. When you really think about it, it's actually three parts. Building out the exterior of the ship, detailing the exterior of the ship, and then building out the interior. So we have it broken down into three parts, even though that we're not necessarily doing that in order, which is something that I really want to do where I can, but it's one of those things that ends up happening that I'll plan to do it a certain way, but then what happens ultimately is that I'll be unsure as far as what I want to do. I'll move on to a different area of the ship and just start working on that. And that's kind of why some of the episodes end up being sporadic, just because I end up doing that the build process based on passion and what I'm most feeling at that moment. So this way it comes out the best that it possibly can. All right, so we've gotten the first two parts of today's episode completed. Now we have to I actually want to go full screen. I actually did not realize I had that start bar rocking out there the whole time for the first 9 minutes of the episode. But yeah, now we're going to be going right back into our extended area of engineering. I think that's what I'll be calling these sections of engineering going forward, just because that's what they are. They're the extended areas of engineering that we've kind of just conceptualized based off the room that we have to work with, and trying to add in some mechanical looking areas that help make this ship feel bigger than it really is. Because, at the end of the day, my Enterprise D, as massive as it is, it's actually half the size of a full-scale Galaxy class. So you can just think about that for a second, that, because my ship is only, I think it was 22 or 23 decks, and the full scale is 44 decks. So if we would have done a full 1-for-1 scale Enterprise D, we would have gotten lost in the render, and we would have been working on this thing for a couple of years easily, and then still probably going. So I don't think I'll ever be doing a 1-for-1 scale of the Enterprise D, because my hands have been full just doing a half scale of it. But the cool thing about this is that by the time this ship is done, it's not going to feel like a half-scale Enterprise D. It's going to feel like a full-scale Enterprise D. And that's really what I want to do. But I think, this is probably going to be the only ship that I ever build on this scale, unless I'm so passionate about it that I have to build something this large again. But I don't know. I don't see that happening again, because don't get me wrong, I'm happy to flesh this whole thing out and build it out, but one of the things I did not necessarily intend to happen when I started the Enterprise D, I didn't necessarily expect it to run as long as it has, the tutorial series. I knew that it was going to be long, I knew that much, but I didn't know that it was going to be this long. And at this point where I'm at right now is like I pretty much have just reached the conclusion that, well, I've started something, I want to finish it. So for that reason, I don't care how many episodes it goes out to, I'm going to finish it. And I want to show everything that I've done, because I'm sure that there's a lot of people that are going to be in the same boat as me, that they want a fleshed out Enterprise D too. That's probably one of the main reasons that you're watching this tutorial series and still with me in this episode, because you want to flesh out those areas as well. So I'm giving you a platter of all the things that you can add on your ship. But with that being said, I'm pretty much certain at this point that I won't be building another one this big again. I'm probably going to go back down to the scale of what I was building before for when I did the Cerritos and the Constitution class ships, just because I can do them in a much shorter period of time. And it just kind of makes it easier, where I can get more tutorials done in a shorter period of time, as opposed to spending an extended period of time working on just one build. Because, and I get that too, that, because I get a lot of people here and there asking me, hey, can you do this build? Can you do that build? That's why I'm trying to get people in the Discord channel, so that I can get all those suggestions condensed into one area, so everybody can see them, so this way they can upvote the ones that they want to see. It'll give me a gauge for what the community wants to see. and just to go from there. But this is something that I'm going to be doing indefinitely because I truly enjoy the shipbuilding on Minecraft. It's a lot of fun. Even though we can't really do anything with the build, that's okay. Like the way I look at it is that we're basically just building a glorified uh, model. That's just kind of how I see these builds on Minecraft anyway. And there's the other game that I play too, Starship Evo. Even though I haven't played it in a good while, um, that's still a game I plan on revisiting at some point. I'm just kind of waiting for them to do something worthwhile for me to want to jump back in the game. And they're also, I'm actually kind of happy I've been taking a little bit of a break from it because they've been adding more mechanics into the game, like as far as being able to power your ships and whatnot, and like using fuel. And when I do eventually come back into that game, if I want to be able to use any of my old builds, I'm going to have to completely reconfigure them just to make them work. So it's just kind of working out that way that, taking a break from Starship Evo is going to be a good thing because I'm hoping that by the time I come back, they'll have a few things added that are still not in the game. I want to be able to build circles, and I want to be able to uh, it's great that I can explore these galaxies, but you can't land on any of the planets, so it just kind of, it is what it is. It's a fantastic game, and I'm not knocking it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking that game because when you consider the fact that one guy makes that game by himself, it's honestly, it's impressive that he can do that. But there's things I want to see them do before I'm willing to come back into it. But I tell you what, once they do add the things I want to see them add, Starship Evo will be a focal point just as much as my Minecraft videos are. And as time goes by, I'm going to be probably adding other games too that are building games that I like because I think out of everything that I play on between Xbox and the computer, I have the most fun building. So that's really what I want to showcase on this channel. You're never going to see me putting videos up of shooters and things like that. But anything that I can include building on, I think is fair game at this point because I've put up videos like when I first started on the channel. I did like my very first tutorials I did on Ark. That'll be coming back at some point whenever Ark 2 comes out. I really don't want to get into that now because there's so many people doing tutorials on Ark. And not only that I've also played that game so much, because I own a server with my girlfriend on Ark, and I've played it so much that I'm burnt out on Ark 1 pretty much indefinitely. But whenever Ark 2 comes out, I will be on that like white on rice. So that's going to be something that I'm going to be looking forward to doing as well. I'm hoping in the future that we get a Planet Coaster 2 because I also here and there I do tutorials on, or I've done a couple of videos on Planet Coaster. Not so much tutorials, but I've done some videos on my builds. But that's another game that it's already at the tail end of its lifespan, and the people that are big in uh, Planet Coaster, they pretty much have that niche. So I'd wait for Planet Coaster 2 to come out before I ever did like maybe any tutorials on it. But yeah, that's just kind of the thought process I have for the channel. I don't want to restrict it to just working on starships or just Minecraft. I'd say it's anything nerd related and anything I can build. Those two things, it's fair game. Um, so it's definitely some cool stuff that are going to be coming in the future on the YouTube channel. Just a matter of when. But for right now, we've got some cool things coming up. We've got the current build poll for what my next ship build is going to be, and I'm not going to be doing this with every single build. There's going to be builds that I'm going to do just because I want to do them, and then there's going to be builds that I'm going to be getting the community involved. I want to have that nice balance of it because I've already got a list of ships that I want to do. It's just a matter of whenever I'm going to do them, because I already know that the next build poll, that's my next build, 110%, because I've already made that promise to the community. This is why I'm asking you guys to get involved on the Discord, to go on there and vote. So this way you can get involved in what the next ship build is going to be. And I think more than likely, though, the next build is going to be Voyager, because Before I even did the next build poll, you got to understand something, that Voyager was my #1 request. Next to the Enterprise D. That's why I did the Enterprise D, because the Enterprise D was my #1 since I've had the channel. I just wanted to wait until this point that I got good enough on Minecraft that I felt that I could pull it off. Um, but Voyager was a close second, and I'm not surprised by it. But Voyager's winning out in the poll right now. Um, so I would be surprised if Voyager doesn't win. Put it that way. I think that's probably going to be a thing. But after that, once we hit regardless of what my next whatever wins in that poll, after that build, um, I think I'm going to do one of my own personal builds on what I want to do, and that could ultimately end up being the Excelsior from Star Trek Picard, the Excelsior class. I've already got screenshots of it. I can't actually stop thinking about that ship, and because I want to build it, and that might end up being a thing. But I don't want to say it for sure because things can easily change between now and then. So I don't want to promise anything, but something I'm thinking about. And then also, not only that, once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we've got the U.S.S. Enterprise A 1.1 refit that we're going to be doing. That I'm super passionate about that build. I cannot wait to get into that, because the concept art, what I was able to do for that, it came out so well that I'm over the moon excited to work on it, because I think it's going to be an outstanding build. That's going to be, I think, one of my top tutorials that I'll have on the channel. I sense it because I get a lot of people asking me to do that, and I really want to wait until I hit that number, because it's important to have goals, and I think that's something that will work out for the channel as we expand, because once we hit 1,000 subscribers, I'll actually be getting a lot more subscribers on this channel, and I think that build will get us there. Enterprise D is slowly helping me to creep up on that number, but it's going to be a culmination of all these builds together to get me to that point. But we'll get there. Whatever time frame it takes, that's what it takes. I'm not in a rush to make it happen, because at the end of the day, I'm enjoying doing this build. I've been really enjoying not even just this build, but the whole process I'm building on Minecraft in general. It's been a lot of fun, and it's something that I look forward to doing, and I don't see it ending anytime soon, and that, not even like it would end. That's why I say, like, this is going to be something I'm going to be doing indefinitely. When I first started the channel, like, I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago at this point, I wasn't even doing tutorials. I was just putting like update videos out. And I started getting people asking me, like, hey, you should do a tutorial series on these. Like, these are pretty good builds, And it just kind of snowballed from there into what we're at now. And it gets me excited to see where things are going to go in the future with the channel, So, yeah, I just want to thank everybody that has supported me on the channel from the beginning, everybody that's with me right now, and everybody that'll be in there in the future. It's been pretty awesome, because I honestly never thought that I would get up to 100 subscribers, let alone almost 700 subscribers. So, I mean, it's humbling. It really is. We're looking pretty good right now. I do want to get back into the build. I'm just kind of rambling on about random stuff today, but I haven't really had to point anything out here, because everything that we're doing is just pretty much self-explanatory. We're doing exactly what I said we were going to be doing in the last episode. We're going to be adding in this glass going around these mechanical parts. Well, the one we're at right now is the warp core, but one in front of it, I'm pretty certain if I had to call it something, it would probably be the warp displacement field or something like that. I actually looked online to see if I can find screenshots of a warp displacement field. I know at some point I'm going to come across a Star Trek super fan that's going to be like, no, like, you did this completely the wrong way. And I'll say touche, to each his own. But, at the end of the day, these are make-believe ships. And when these areas haven't been fleshed out, and they've never showed them on the show, you could easily make the argument that, well, how do you know it didn't look like this? They may have blueprints for showing some of these things, but again, that's considered extended universe as far as I'm concerned. If they didn't show it in the show, it's not fully canon as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, that's why I feel like a lot of this works, because I mean, what I ultimately end up doing is I don't just make a bunch of random stuff up in cases I have to. I look at my other builds and I look at what I've done in the past when it comes to shipbuilding anyway, and I try to build areas that it feels like that would be inside the ship. That's the best way I can describe it, you know. And just like this area, it's just kind of a filler engineering area, but it feels like a nice extension of main engineering. And that, when they had engineering in TNG, like, it was this tiny little room that had the warp core around it. It's like, well, where's the rest of the mechanics that are involved inside the ships? And you can make the argument, and I've made this argument myself in the past, that these ships, they've gotten so advanced that their technology is kind of blended in the walls, kind of like electricity. Because, like, if you look at electricity, for example, 100 years ago, you didn't have wires built out inside the walls. They were tacked onto the walls with homes that had electricity. Nowadays, it's built inside of the walls. Now you even have houses, you have smart homes, and you have where homes come ready to go with Ethernet cables or ports into the house. It's the same thing here, where they would get so advanced that some of these areas would just be built inside of the ship, which would make sense to me. But with that being said, they can't be so advanced that some of these that's the only area for engineering. That I at least I find hard to believe, at least on a Galaxy class ship anyway. I feel like it demands being over the top. Now, like when we did the Disco Era Enterprise, that was almost like the exact opposite. Like, we had, I think I did 4 decks of engineering, and then I called it a day. But it was just in the lower hull of the ship, in a section of the lower hull, and that wasn't even primarily what the lower hull was for. There was a lot of variety in that ship. But the Enterprise D, the engineering is taking up a lot of it, and the neck and the lower hull. But I mean, I think it's going to work, and it's going to look awesome, and I'm really excited for everybody to see this thing when it's done. But anyway, I think I've talked enough, and we've hit the end of today's episode, so I think that's going to wrap us up today. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode, and if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and help me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And new subscribers, don't forget to hit notifications on so you get notified when those new videos drop. And speaking of new videos, you can always catch my new Minecraft episodes dropping Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. If you have any questions regarding today's episode, be sure to drop a comment below. Definitely love hearing from everybody. And if there's any builds that you want to see me do, be sure to join the Discord channel. I have a tab on the Discord, build suggestions. I have that up so this way you can come in and make your suggestion, and people can upvote it if they want to see me do that build. So definitely check that out. And yeah, I think that's going to wrap us up today. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week, and I'll catch you on the next episode. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft today? Let me know in the comments section.